Guys, Cory Sandhagen's taking on Frankie Edgar this weekend. Does Sandhagen have an answer for the answer? We're talking about that right now. What's up, Barnhill family? Welcome back to the channel.
Yo.
Guys, as always, thank you so much for liking and commenting. We enjoy engaging with you guys in the comments. Some great discussions, so keep them coming.
And hang out in the live chat when we premiere these things, because they're a lot of fun, and we love chatting with you guys in real time.
That's one of our favorite things about this channel.
For sure.
And so, Nick, we have a great co-main event. This is actually an excellent card. You know, the 2 weeks from now, we have the pay-per-view, Usman and Burns, and we just had McGregor-Poirier, so this one is kind of overlooked. But you have, you know, the Reem and Volkov as the main event, as the co-main. You've got Frankie The Answer Edgar versus Cory Sandhagen, kind of the old school versus the new school, if you will. How do you see this fight sort of playing out, and what do you think about Frankie at 135? He is 1-0. He's undefeated at 35.
Yeah, well, he looked good in that fight. It kind of feels like we're having another one of these breaks in between fights that seems a little bit too long for my liking. I think it's just because they hit us so hard at that 1 week span in the middle part of January. But I'll deal with it. 6 nights, 7 nights away from now, we'll be able to watch more fights, and I'll be cool with it. But I really like this matchup. I think Sandhagen is clearly one of the top guys at bantamweight, and Frankie Edgar is one of the top guys the sport's ever seen. So I think if for Sandhagen to be able to step in the octagon with him, it'll be really a unique experience for him. You know, you want to, when you're an up-and-coming fighter and you're a dog and you want to prove that you're one of the best in the world, you want to do it against guys that got you into the sport. You want to do it against guys that are living legends. And this sport is actually unique in that there are a lot of living legends that are still hanging around. And it's not because they can't compete anymore, but maybe they're in opportunities for the UFC to try to build another star off of you. So it's a real compliment that the UFC is giving Sandhagen a fight with Frankie Edgar, because it shows that they believe that if he can win this, and there's a big name that standing in the octagon against him, that maybe he's ready for the next level.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Frankie Edgar is a future Hall of Famer, no question. Was the champion in the 155-pound division. Yeah. He's now fighting at 135.
An absolute dog. When you have people like Uriah Faber and Frankie Edgar that were title holders at 55, and now they're comfortably making 35, it just shows you how far the game has come. And thank God for more weight classes, because these smaller guys were just having to fight monsters at 55.
Listen, I love the new wrinkles, and we always see the evolution of MMA, and fighters are getting better, and they're more skilled everywhere. But as the old saying goes, there ain't no school like the old school.
That's right.
Frankie Edgar comes from the old school. And I want to point something out. Everybody's talking about Max Holloway, Calvin Kattar. This fight is for who's the best boxer in the UFC. And that may be the case. I don't want to take anything from Blessed Holloway. But let's not overlook how good Frankie Edgar's boxing is. I think if we're going to talk about who's the best boxer in the UFC, Edgar's name at least needs to be in the discussion.
Yeah, recency bias will get us all. And I think that Max Holloway's in that conversation. Dustin Poirier said that after beating Conor McGregor, he's in that conversation. I personally would put Conor McGregor above Dustin Poirier as far as pure boxing skill goes. I do think that obviously he beat him and he used a lot of boxing,
but there's no calf kicks in boxing.
Yeah, exactly. Striking techniques to get the win over McGregor. But if you're talking about pure boxing, Frankie Edgar's in that top 3, period, in the story, no matter what way you look at it.
And as we saw against Pedro Munoz, I mean, he moves. He is like float like a butterfly, sting like a bee. He's quicker and sharper at 135, it seems, than almost. I mean, listen, the guy has beaten BJ Penn, Gray Maynard, Charles Oliveira, Uriah Faber, Yair Rodriguez.
The names of old and the names of today and tomorrow.
It's unbelievable. Chad, you really... It's almost impossible to amass a hit list like Frankie Edgar has. And Cory Sandhagen has the opportunity to put that guy on his hit list. I mean, this has got great fight written all over it. Listen, Sandhagen is number 2 in the 135 division. Edgar is number 4. Sandhagen was on a 7-fight win streak that was snapped by Aljamain Sterling. Then he immediately got back on track with an incredible spinning wheel kick knockout of Marlon Moraes. I mean, if you're talking about a knockout, a head kick knockout, and Marlon Moraes is involved in the fight, you're usually talking about Marlon Moraes knocking somebody out, not eating a head kick and getting knocked out. So, I mean, listen, I think this fight is for the number one contender. You already have Jan and Sterling. They're going to take care of business. It looks like I think, is it March now or April?
Yeah, I think so.
They're going to be fighting in March. So depending on the outcome of this fight and that fight, maybe with the caveat of what happens with TJ Dillashaw, I do believe the winner of this fight is going to certainly be in discussions for the winner of Aljo versus Jan.
Yeah, and I think that, it's really cool to see Frankie Edgar right there in title contention again, and he deserves it. Him and Jose Aldo proved that he deserved to be in a title fight, even coming off a controversial loss. And it just shows the merit. They're working off merit, and what their accomplishments have gotten them to this high of a level, and it keeps them in the conversation at all times. One thing I really like about the bantamweight division right now, and it's kind of new because there were some legends that moved down into it, Frankie Edgar being one of them, Jose Aldo being the other, is that if Sandhagen wins this fight, and I believe he'll probably be the favorite and could probably get the job done. And if I'm betting on it, I'm probably going to take Sandhagen. There's still so many fun fights for fight fans, and especially longtime fight fans, to see at 135. You're talking about Frankie Edgar getting in there with Uriah Faber, Dominic Cruz.
Right.
Some of these guys, TJ Dillashaw even. And, for me, I personally want to see TJ Dillashaw return against Uriah Faber. I think now's the only time, because I personally believe that TJ Dillashaw was the best 135er on the planet until his suspension came around. And I see him not losing much ground on that. I think he still is one of those top guys. Uriah Faber's just not quite there anymore. But since he had to sit out for 2 years in timeout, people are going to get really upset if the UFC says, here, let's just give him a title shot immediately right back at his title. I think that the UFC should make the Uriah Faber fight first. TJ's the favorite in that, going to be a big favorite. I assume he will probably win that fight. And then that puts him right back into the number one contender spot. He will fight for a title after that. And, but you don't want to miss out on the story that is Uriah versus TJ, Team Alphaville versus TJ, the snake in the grass, the Conor McGregor. Yeah. There's so much promotional gold in that story that we need to use it before it's too late.
I agree. And I'll take it even one step further. I believe there was a time period, maybe 3.5 to 4 years ago, where TJ Dillashaw was the most complete mixed martial artist on the face of the planet.
I'd agree.
I think, and I can't even remember I've seen so many good fights by TJ. I can't remember who he tried that calf slicer against. Yes, John Lineker. Yeah. I mean, that fight, I watched that fight. I was like, this is the best fighter in the world. Yeah. I mean, he's got absolutely the wrestling skills of the highest of levels of wrestler. His Muay Thai seems next to none. He's attempting a calf slicer in the octagon, for God's sakes, against a top 5 absolute world beater in John Hands of Stone Lineker. There was a point in time where TJ Dillashaw, I truly believed, was a more complete mixed martial artist than anybody, and I'm very excited to see him come back. I follow him on social media. He takes very good care of himself. He's doing stem cells. He's doing altitude training. He's doing all of the things to keep himself, even at 35 years old, competing like he's still in his athletic prime.
Yeah. I would love to see TJ get right back into title contention. I think that he deserves it. I think his skills are obviously still there. But with the logjam that has kind of been created at the top of 135, I can see how they'd want to keep him busy. It's already been 2 years he's been on ice. You don't want to keep him another 6 months on ice. And that's why I feel like the Uriah Faber fight's the one to make. And, if Uriah loses that fight, and if I'm predicting on it, I think that he would probably lose that fight. There are still fun fights for him. Like I said, Frankie Edgar, Dominic Cruz.
Yeah.
These type of fights are awesome. And I think we need to see those things happen. And it's just unique in that there's a lot of really great young talent at 135 and a lot of living legends at 135.
Yeah, it's almost like Bellator, how they have it's like almost 2 divisions within a division. You've got the guys going by the rankings and trying to climb their way to the belt, and then you've got the Chael Sonnens and the Czech Congos that are just there to just have some fun and relive old days. But Frankie Edgar is not one of those. Frankie Edgar is one who could play on both sides of that fence, because he still could be the champ. Make no mistake about that.
Yeah, and that's the thing is, I think Jose Aldo still has the skills to be a champ.
Yeah.
I think Uriah Faber is maybe not the champ status, but he's right there. He did look good last time
against
he was
Peter
fighting.
Yan.
Yeah. It's just, I mean, it's Peter Yan.
He looked good until he didn't.
Yeah. So this fight for me is really awesome. I think Sandhagen should take this opportunity and run with it. Understand that they're giving him a living legend because they see potential in him. And if he can get past this monster in Frankie Edgar, then that's going to blast him right up there, and he'll most likely get a title shot this year.
Yeah, I think so. And giving my prediction, I believe Sandhagen is obviously substantially taller than Frankie Edgar.
Yeah.
He's very good with the wheel kicks. He's good at keeping distance. This fight is going to be won and lost for him at what distance it's played at. If Frankie Edgar is able to get inside and work the body, maybe work a takedown and force Sandhagen to get back to his feet and sort of zap his energy, Frankie might be able to grind out a really tough decision or potentially a late stoppage. If Sandhagen can keep this at a kickboxing range and land some head kicks, he might be able to shut the lights out for Edgar. Maybe I'm a little biased here, but Frankie Edgar is one of my favorite fighters, and I just am going to say that I think he can get the job done against Cory Sandhagen.
Yeah, and I'll tell you the reason I'm going to choose Frankie Edgar to win this fight is he's a crafty veteran.
Yeah.
He's been there. He's a bigger body than a lot of the fighters that Cory has fought in his career in general.
Right.
And I think if this is a 3-round fight, which I'm quite confident it is, that he's just going to be able to edge out. He's not going to get gassed out in 3 rounds at 135. He has the frame for it. I think he's crafty enough, and he's very hard to stop. I don't see him finishing Cory Sandhagen, but I see him getting a decision victory over Sandhagen.
Yeah, when you got Mark Henry in your corner, and I mean, he's just
the training partners that he has are just wild.
Absolutely. And I think Frankie, he's the real deal. He's the answer. And one important thing to point out here is that Frankie Edgar is by far the biggest name that Cory Sandhagen has ever stepped in the octagon against.
Yeah.
And Cory Sandhagen is not even in the top 10 biggest names that Frankie Edgar has stepped in the octagon against.
For sure.
And fighting your idols, you really do have to, and I'm assuming that Frankie is an idol of Sandhagen.
Yeah. How could you
how could he not be? When you fight your idols, you have to be very careful to pay them respect, but also go in there to get the job done, because they're going to be looking to knock you out. And I think the best way to pay homage to your idol is to try to take their head off in the octagon and then give them a big hug and thank them afterwards.
Right, you got to seize the moment. And one thing I will also remind everybody of, Frankie Edgar is training partners with Aljamain Sterling. So I think that's one ace up the sleeve.
Yeah.
He's felt Cory Sandhagen. He knows exactly. He made quick work of Cory Sandhagen.
Right.
I think that that will play a role into it. I think that Aljamain has been helping him prepare for this fight, and that's only a good thing for the Edgar corner.
Yeah, which will be very interesting if Aljamain can get past Yan and Edgar beats Sandhagen.
Yeah, I don't see.
You might have a Burns-Usman type of situation.
Yeah, well, I don't see either one of them leaving Mark Henry for obvious reasons, but if that happens, we'll definitely have to break it down.
Yeah, for sure. Guys, thanks so much for watching this video. Who do you have? This is old school versus new school. Sandhagen or Edgar? Let us know in the comments. Please like, comment, and subscribe. And as always, thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next one. Have a great day.
Peace.